G'day guys, welcome back to the Thirsty Mason. Today I decided I'm going to show you my own little project that I'm working on here. This is my beautiful 150-year-old vine that I have growing on my property. I harvested these at the absolute peak of their ripeness, and I've gone through and I'm trying to make a wine that is 100% natural. This is a 750-year-old traditional recipe. It's called a vin du naturel. And you'll notice that as I'm crushing the grapes, and I do finish the crushing process, a lot of winemakers are probably going to get a little bit antsy with me because all I'm doing is I'm going to be doing nothing but leaving these grapes 100% natural on the lees, which is the skins that are actually involved. So these are all crushed. Only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to check my initial sweetness, and this shows that I have a possible 14% alcohol percentage wine. But due to the fact that I'm doing this 100% naturally, I'm going to do cold fermentation on natural yeast, which means that all that potential alcohol is not going to be eaten up. Now, this has been 3 months, and you can see how cloudy my wine is. Okay, that's because the natural yeasts are still swimming about in it. All right, this is all the wine after I filtered it. This is about 5 liters. As you can see, it's quite cloudy. At this stage, I add the main ingredient, and this is 100% grape brandy, almost like a cognac. This is going to kill the natural occurring yeasts, and it's going to turn my wine into an actual wine. A vin du naturel, it should only have grapes as its entire ingredient list. Distilled and regular. Also, you have to fill it up to the absolute brim, because that mitigates all oxygen reaching your wine. So tighten that up. I wrapped up in foil, and then I packed it away inside a box to block out all sunlight. Okay guys, as you can see from my opening video, I'm making wine. Now it's actually been a while. I've been filming these in little snippets over the last couple of months. The vine that I have out the front here is either a Cabernet Sauvignon or a very, very, very juicy Shiraz. I've never really seen the like. This will be the first time I actually make wine out of it. The previous years, I've actually extracted the alcohol and ended up being far too low. The sugar content was just shocking. Yielded me a wine that was like 6 or 7%. So I turned that into the base spirit for the brandy. So that brandy's actually been sitting around 2 years. Only the end of last year yielded me a really, really lovely sweet grape for the first time ever. When I make wine, I don't usually make such a small amount. So I figured let's try something really, really crazy, do something really special with these grapes. Okay, because this was actually planted by an old man that I respected very, very, very much. How do I know the vine's 150 years old? Because his father had planted them, and the house that I live in used to be his. And this house is at least 150 years old, according to the records, for the local government. So, went through, I'm trying to do it 100% clean, absolutely no modern winemaking techniques whatsoever. Now, this particular form of wine, believe it or not, it was stated that it was discovered in France in the early 1200s. And that's actually not true. This is a old Arabic technique of making wine, where you cut it with spirit in order to maintain its longevity. And that's how it's able to be transported across the water. However, it got mastered in France in the 1200s, where scientists actually found out the perfect balance on how to make these wines. Because back in the day, we would just, the original makers would just cut it with like any kind of harsh spirit. They didn't care exactly what it was. Whereas the French actually specifically made grape spirits to be utilized for the wine. And they also pulled the fermentation earlier at different stages. So this could have been like even a very, very, very crude form of port at some stage. So the Portuguese, essentially that's what they're doing. They're making a beautiful, beautiful grape wine. They're fermenting it about halfway, so it maintains all the sugars, till about 5 degrees of alcohol, say that. like a beer. And so all the other, the potential 14%, all right, is now only 5%, which means that the rest remains sweet as sugar. And so then they end up cutting it with brandy, and that would raise the ABV to about 12, or however much they want. It's kind of difficult to find out the exact ratios. So, for example, I had 750 ml to about 4.2 liters. Okay, so that ended up giving me a wine that sits at about 16%. I use a online calculator for that. And I'm happy with 16 to 17%. It's slightly stronger than a regular wine, but and I did try to ferment out to the maximum amount of sweetness I possibly, like maximum amount of dryness as I possibly could, because I don't like my Vin Doux Naturel super sweet. All right, I wanted to have guts. I wanted to have depth. All right, I want to still be able to taste the grapes and the complexity in the grapes without just overtly sweet tasting stuff, like damaging my palate. The other thing I did that was a little bit different is usually you're supposed to add your spirit and then age the wine with the spirit in there. I wanted to create something that had a lot more complexity, so I actually aged my spirit as a brandy in timber till it was essentially just a delicious brandy that had been sitting for 2 years on timber. So technically speaking, I already got 2 years worth of age on the wine. But as it's killing it, it's going to mingle with the flavor of the original brandy, pick up the beautiful sweetness naturally of the grapes, and then the thickness and complexity of all that time on the leaves. So I'm very, very excited to see how this is going to turn out. I'm probably going to have to wait another 3 weeks for all that yeast to finally settle down to the bottom before I actually have a chance to taste this. So I want you guys to stick around, and then I'll do an official tasting with you guys on the channel. Anyway, guys, if you ever want to try making a Vin Doux Naturel, you can definitely do it. Just get yourself some winemaker's grapes. Just head down to like the markets, Flemington markets, whatever, and you can actually purchase winemaking grapes. And you can do it on just such a small level like I did. That you don't need any major crazy equipment. Okay, wine is one of those. It's one of mankind's first drinks. Okay, you just need enough refrigeration space and like a couple of months worth of patience. Crush your grapes. Okay, leave all the crushed grapes with the juice. Filter them out by any means necessary. Because usually when I do it on a mass scale, and I can use my basket press. And one day I will do that with you guys. And the issue is I only trust one wine grower to get my grapes from him. And I like to go pick the grapes myself. Unfortunately, the floods have really affected them. So that's 2 vintages I haven't been able to make. So this is just my little side hustle that's going to get me through and give me about 5 liters of nice wine that I can share with my family. Okay, so get your grapes, crush them, save them on the lees, let them sit for 3 months in a cool place, not in a hot place. A hot place, and let me explain to you why this is absolutely crucial that you keep them in the fridge. Natural yeast has yeasts that activate at a warmer temperature that give your wine a funky sock taste. You don't want that. The ones that remain active at that cold temperature yield a much cleaner flavored wine. So if you just keep them out on your counter, first and foremost, oxygen might get to it far too quickly. Second of all, you're going to have those yeasts going haywire, and the nastier ones are going to start doing things to your wine. Cool. Now, after 3 months have gone past, you can go buy yourself a bottle of cognac. Okay, for the 5 liters, if you want to yield yourself a 16% wine. And then if you don't want to, and you actually have heaps more, just jump onto a dilution calculator. There's a lot of them out there. And you can just calculate how much brandy you need to buy in order to cut it. Okay, you can even use vodka. Basically, anything above 40% ABV will kill those natural yeasts, and then allow your wine to clear up over time. And then, last but not least, see if you can get some oak chips. I prefer staves, as you saw. I made those myself. My father-in-law gave me some beautiful American and French oak staves, just nice long sticks. And what you want to do is you want to wrap them up in aluminium foil, and place them in your oven at different temperatures to get different levels of roast on them. So I added a couple of darker chunks and a couple of lighter chunks, if you noticed. The lighter chunks were roasted at 180 degrees for 1 hour. The darker ones are roasted at 200 degrees for 1 hour. And the very, very dark ones are 250 for 1 hour. Okay, the timber won't have a chance to burn because it's insulated by that aluminium foil, but it will unlock the beautiful caramelized notes of that timber that will actually allow that flavor to permeate through the wine. Cool. The Vin de Naturel is literally that. 100% natural. The only thing that's not grapes in it is the couple of chunks of timber that you put in there. But even the spirit needs to be made Vin de Naturel method. Okay, where I didn't add any yeast whatsoever during the whole thing. I'm relying only on the grapes to allow the flavors to develop. This is a very rare style. It's not not done very often in modern days. Mainly due to the fact that it's very expensive. Like trying to maintain cold fermentation on a small batch of really high quality grapes, plus cutting it back with aged spirit. Hell yeah, it's expensive. Plus, whilst it's a delicious wine, it is not like leaps and bounds ahead of properly man-made yeast wines. Man-made yeast wines are far more delicious. But also, Vin de Naturel is fantastic. It's absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite styles. Okay, as long as they don't make it too sweet. Anyway, I've been ranting on about wine a little bit too long. But yes, this is how you make wine. It's not this mad, crazy method. All right, it's not too nuts. You just need good grapes. Okay, and now in the future, when I manage to get my own, hand-picked grapes again, I'd love to walk you through the proper method of making a really high-end wine, the proper way with proper yeasts, the whole shebang. Anyway, guys, hopefully you like this information. Please like, share, and subscribe, and stick around so you can see how this wine comes out.